entertainment package featuring music, pageantry, lifestyle, culture, and so much more. Ladies and gentlemen, as we conclude today's journey, thank you for traveling with Diamond Media, your passport to entertainment and knowledge. We hope to see you on board again soon. Enjoy the rest of your day.
For this week's edition of Diamond Live, we are only but going into just next week on the 13th of August before 8.7 million Zambians head to the polls. We continue giving you the countdown to that day, but also we continue giving you the breaking news stories that are happening every single day as we build on to the 13th of August 2026. Thank you so much for joining us once again. My name is Mwansa.
And my name is Cheswa. Kapasa, thanks a lot for making time to join us again on Wednesday. And like always, we are breaking down the day's big news stories. On this edition, President Hakainde Hichilema is condemning violence in strongest terms. This, of course, follows what happened in the western part of the country. We're speaking about that. But you too can tell us what you think about the current political atmosphere in the country with just 8 days to go before Zambia goes to the polls.
Well, quite a day it has been, Cheswa. The Zambian people continue to see the ugly face of political violence, and different, key stakeholders have come to condemn the political violence that happened yesterday into today. We've seen that the Human Rights Commission have called on all political parties to ensure that they tame their cadres, as we approach the elections. It's only 8 days to go before the elections. We've had a long period where there's been some form of semblance of peace, until now when the politics is intensifying and it's reaching its boiling point. When now we're beginning to see the cases of political violence. That's the reason for why we'll be speaking to lawyer Timothy Sapato to discuss, the preparedness of the police to address political violence, but also we look at the political playing field ahead of the polls in the next 8 days. We'd like to start the show with today in a snap. Well, today the Nrpup rally in Mongu was disrupted by police. This is after they threw tear gas, to the crowd. There's so many twists to the story, Cheswa. Obviously, we want to speak to the police to just get a clear statement on what exactly happened, before this disruption of the Nrpup rally. We know for a fact that Brian Mundwile, presidential candidate of the Nrpup, is currently in Mongu, and he did address the people of Kuta, on what he plans to do for the people once he's elected in office. But quickly in the background, that is what transpired earlier on today in Mongu, where the police threw tear gas, and we could see, people covering themselves, trying to breathe properly because of how, of how the atmosphere turned out to be when, they were being addressed by Brand Mundwile.
Well, I think you could see how distressed those that went to listen to him are. I mean, you and I, Andrew, know what perhaps tear gas will smell like or feels like in your face, and many others would know how uncomfortable really it is. And you can imagine people just moving away there in the crowd. It would be good to get a clear statement also from the Zambia Police Service. I think that this is a very tricky period, and this is a very, very sensitive time that, the police are being looked at as people that where people must run to. The police have a duty to create order and to protect the citizens, but
this is how it started. This is how it started. Cheswa, the police were approaching the place where
the stage
where Brad Mundivi was addressing members of the public in Mongu. We saw an altercation between the police and the people that came to attend just there. From what we were able to pick out in the video, there seems to be an altercation between them and the police. Thereafter, so the gentleman who was, trying to have an altercation with the police, then I think shortly after, we saw people scampering. Then the police did throw just there, after that fracas happened. Then, tear gas canisters were thrown in the air to try and probably bring about sanity, or probably try to control the situation. Well, also, what we are seeing there is that sand was being thrown at the police. Then, the tear gas was thrown, and people began to disperse in all directions, trying to protect themselves. And the stage also was cleared off after that particular, incident. Yeah, so that is what happened earlier on in Mongu. But Makebi Zulu had something to say about this. I know for a fact that earlier on they did also have a press briefing, but on his Facebook page, let's quickly look at what Makebi Zulu posted. Director. So Makebi Zulu posted to say, Hakainde Hichilema has unleashed his cadres in police uniforms to tear gas us and firing live bullets against us, and they have disrupted our rally in Mongu. That is the vice presidential running mate to Brand Mundivi of the Nrpup. And they did hold a press briefing earlier on today, also trying to insinuate that the ones that did what happened today, were police officers who were were cadres clad in police uniforms. But also earlier on today, we did see Dr. Chris Manizimba and his colleague Celestine Kandila hold a press briefing addressing the confusion that happened yesterday, where we did see General Kanene being part of the people that were hacked badly. You've seen the pictures on social media. Let us quickly put context to this by hearing what Dr. Chris Manizimba had to say.
Above all, there is an issue we also raised with my brother and the team that went to ECZ this morning in terms of why the people who sat for aptitude tests as a poster, meaning they were given some form of assessment, aptitude assessments, and consequently some passed and they were picked. Later on, their names were posted. But few hours and in some places, few days later, they were instructed to bring the names down. And consequently, the district electoral officers in some places went ahead to bring new lists of people never sat for aptitude tests and never passed to be the so-called poster to administer elections next week. So this was our broad point of discussion with ECZ this morning, and it was a very specific point of discussion.
So in the same vein, very important to note that we have since given marching orders through my colleague that all eyes on the district electoral officers. And the reason is simple. there were some lists that were published, lists of NRC numbers, and those NRC numbers were of those people who passed the aptitude tests. And going forward from the instruction from the Electoral Commission of Zambia that was given to DEOs yesterday was that they must publish lists of NRC numbers plus their names, their full names. Simply put, if any DEO produces a list that is different in terms of NRCs from the NRCs that were initially published, that raises alarm. That person is trying to undermine our democracy, and that person may...
This is what partly the Tonse Alliance, spoke to when they met with the Electoral Commission of Zambia. But later on, they did speak about the political violence that happened. But yesterday, we did see President Hakainde Hichilema address the issue of political violence. He wrote on his Facebook page, he said, "The report of political violence from certain parts of the country are deeply concerning and are condemned in the strongest possible terms. Let it be very clear that violence, intimidation, or lawlessness by any political party, candidate, or supporter will not be tolerated. Every political party has the lawful right to campaign within the period allocated by the Electoral Commission of Zambia. Anyone who attempts to disrupt or prevent that process is breaking the law and must face the full consequences. We therefore call upon political parties and their supporters to conduct their campaigns peacefully, responsibly, and within the confines of the law. Let us protect the peace, unity, and democratic values that define our nation." And I think what people have been calling on is for measures to be taken to addressing this political violence. I agree with someone that posted on social media that, look, when we look at the ugly face of political violence, we mustn't even look at which political party these people are coming from. We must look at the fact that a law has been broken. All right? What happened in Nrpup, where we did see stones being thrown, in the air, and people trying to beat each other. That was the group between the Nrpup group and the UPND group. And all those were, every part of what happened in Nrpup yesterday was being captured on camera. Very easy to identify those criminals that did those things. And I think for me, they must be seen and taken as criminals, not as politicians that are trying to prevent their fellow politicians. But I don't think that they were committing that crime in the name of the UPND, or they have been committing that crime in the name of the Nrpup. They were committing that crime in their individual capacities. And even when they go to court, they'll be treated as individuals, not as political party players. And yes, the president has put his foot down, and he has urged law enforcement agencies to follow up on these cases and ensure that every culprit is brought to book, which I think many support, and many have been calling that the president must come out and condemn this violence. I think the police must go a step further by showing the public the confidence that they should have in the electoral process. That the police must show the public that come the 13th of August, you'll be safe to go and vote. You'll not, face any political violence. And so the expectation by many Zambians, Cheswa, is that as we go cast our vote, people must feel protected. In fact, yesterday in Nrpup, one of the police officers, was even was assaulted. We saw him bleed, on his left eye, which really mustn't be the case. And I think the Zambian people have rejected that type of politics. The reason for why they voted in the UPND was for Zambians to move away from that type of setup, where lawlessness and where bloodshed was the order of the day. And so to see this ugly face beginning to return to our political setup, I think is quite unfortunate. And before this escalates to higher heights, we hope that the law enforcement agencies would take center stage to address this political violence.
Well, I think Andrew rightly put it. I mean, while the president speaks about not tolerating, political violence, we continue to still see this ugly face of violence still, looming around the country, especially that we're getting to the polls just 8 days before that. It's supposed to be a peaceful atmosphere, but like many other elections, I mean, it's not about promoting violence, but we've seen how much people will try to get excited even before the election, even on voting day. I think that what we must be preaching more is how people must conduct themselves. I mean, when the police is around your area, or when the police is conducting an operation, perhaps abide by the law, abide by the rules. If you're not breaking any law, if you're not breaking any rule that has been provided for by the Electoral Commission of Zambia, I think that you've done nothing wrong. Nothing wrong is going to happen to you. If people's rights, however, feel infringed, the observers, the EU, you spoke about, I mean, other election monitors and so on, stakeholders are here to give their reports and to give their side of the story as of what we'll be obtaining on the ground now and before, August 18th. So we will monitor and see what the atmosphere will look like, especially now that President, I mean, the opposition is crying foul. Look at Munduvile and Makebi Zulu there holding a presser, just describing how unfair the electoral environment is so far. But let's see. There's other 13 other presidential candidates. Of course, what is widely believed to be Brian Munduwile's main challenger. But these other political parties also have their concerns. They are equally participating in this election, Andrew. So it will be good to also hear from them what really and how are they finding the electoral, the political atmosphere, if you like to put it that way. So we'd like to hear from you as well. And what do you think about what's happened in the last couple of days, and the political violence should nowhere exist, within this country? I think we've spoken about this, Andrew, many times, and the president keeps emphasizing there should be no political violence. However, what we saw the last few days is really disheartening.
Timothy Sapato is Lusaka lawyer. He will be joining us right after this.
Barbara Banda doesn't just play, she dominates. She's a force, power, endurance, and unshakable focus. Fit Sports Drink powers her journey with essential nutrients, boosting hydration, enhancing recovery, and delivering lasting energy to conquer every challenge. Fit by Vatra, fit for life.
Nearly 5 years ago, you gave Bali and the UPND your vote because they promised to fix Zambia. Fake promises like these. He opposed Zambia's cyber laws and promised reform.
Cyber security bill. Ngawi munyamata saina o atalipo kusaina. Nizi mahafuna kusaina inkale longa tana saina kutara. One of the first laws we're going to invest is the cyber security bill.
Instead, his government introduced new cyber laws that have been criticized for threatening privacy and freedom of expression. He promised to fight corruption.
Currently, there's no prosecution, there's no follow-up. For us, the follow-up will be automatic. And the DPP will not stand in the way because the DPP is under the executive, right? She will not stand in the way. And we will strengthen these institutions, give them support, because they're government institutions. But today, these are the institutions whose reports are called mfwiti, witchcraft. There's no political will. We will have political will.
Bali asked Zambians to judge him for his promises. Nearly 5 years later, his words have not matched his actions. Zambians are tired of lies, tired of broken promises.
Good
Good news to all our valued customers and the general public. Uniteto Industries and its subsidiaries are pleased to announce a price reduction on our commodities effective immediately across all our outlets and branches. This exciting adjustment follows the recent appreciation of the Zambian kwacha, allowing us to give the benefits directly to you, our esteemed customers. At Uniteto Industries, we remain committed to offering quality products and services at fair and affordable prices. Visit any of our outlets today and experience the new reduced prices. Thank you for your continued support. Uniteto Industries, we consider, we care.
Voting is one of the few moments where we all have a voice.
One person, one vote.
No titles, no status.
Just a choice.
It's not about doing nothing.
It's about showing up.
Because your vote matters.
It's easy.
It's important.
It's ours.
Count me in.
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 Pascal's showing his boss the efficient new technology they've installed. She is pleased, but now she's asking, why is that still there? Pascal explains that the wells can store many, many messages. The boss is not so pleased anymore. If you haven't upgraded your contact center yet, it's time to get business done better with MTN Business.
Daddy, what is Vapombwe?
Mapalo, I know you are still young, you can't remember. They once ruled us.
Is Vapombwe bad?
These people are thugs, criminals. They stole from us. We had no medicine in this country because of these people. They were even able to steal the money that is meant for people like your grandmother, the social cash transfer.
Even money meant for Bambuya.
These people terrorize citizens. People were not freely able to visit the markets. If they found you dressed in the attire that they don't like, people were beaten. Others were even killed.
This is scary. How can you stop Vapombwe from coming back?
We have got the power of the vote. You know, everyone should go and vote on the 13th of August.
On August 13th, vote for Hakainde Hichilema as President of Zambia. And let's continue moving Zambia forward together.
Welcome back. We will be encouraging you, or rather we are encouraging you to be a part of the program this evening by calling us on the number on your screen. We continue to look at issues surrounding the current political atmosphere. 8 days to go before Zambia goes to the polls. We've seen quite some political tension, and we see what's just happening in Mongu earlier today, but also we would like to hear from you. What do you think is happening in the country? Well, Timothy Sapato is a lawyer, but also a politician. He's here to talk to us about his views around the road to the August 13th, 2026 election. But particularly we look at how it is that the police must be able to conduct themselves peacefully, but also what the electorate must do in order to have that peaceful environment that we all deserve. Well, Sir Sapato, thank you so much for making time to join us.
Thank you so much, my brother. How are you?
Very well. It's been quite a while. It's good to now speak to you in a different capacity as legal counsel, but also as a politician, either way. Yeah. Let's talk about the current political atmosphere. I mean, lots of tension that we see with the police and the electorate earlier today. What do you make of some of the things that are coming out of Mongu?
Well, indeed, it's so disheartening, so to say. And what Zambians have seen today is just an example of what has been going on for quite some time. So there have been many reports from the opposition over issues pertaining to violence. You do agree with me that in Kitwe not long ago, there was violence where Nrpup members were attacked and their cars were broken. In Solwezi not long ago, we heard, it was all over social media that Rich Busy and a few other music artists who are aligned with the Tonsalans or the Nrpup were attacked, and there has been silence. So there are a lot of events relating to that, and what is saddening is the fact that there has been silence. But thank God the president did mention yesterday and did condemn the violence, but not in full as compared to the magnitude. But even if it was condemned last night,
when you say not in full, what do you mean not in full? To what extent must he condemn the violence?
We need
statement
action.
Is not enough. What action do we need?
Indeed, a statement is not enough. What do I say so? A statement just ends on social media, and it doesn't go anywhere. We needed action. There are faces making rounds on social media of individuals involved in violence, in yesterday's violence, but no arrests has been made as of this far. So what do you take of that? I read Lower Miti's statement this morning. I think I do agree with her statement. He said we need more than that. So we need action from the law enforcers. So that's what I mean, that a statement should not just end on the media, but it must be backed by action from the law enforcement agency, so that we can deter those that will be offenders. But just a mere statement, I mean, it doesn't just fill up a cup.
How do you describe the current political field? What does it mean? How do you view the current political atmosphere, the current political field? Is there a level playing field, as many would call it, 8 days before Zambians go to the vote?
The political atmosphere is tensed up. It's tensed up, and it's not inspiring, so to say. The question is, are we going to have a free and fair election? And I think one thing that we must not forget is the fact that an election is not an event. It's not a one-day event, but it's comprised of series leading to an election. That involves campaigns and any other thing that is relating to an election. But from what has been happening, there's been so much violence. And the major problem that we have is that there is no action. These are things that many Zambians know. It started with Mazabuka. Whatever Garinkombo, we saw that violence. And of course, a few individuals were arrested, but that has not stopped. There's still violence. A good friend of mine, Ibrahim Wamba, Ibumarema, who's standing in Mwembeshi, was attacked yesterday. And the other person who was attacked in the process was General Kanene. Just a mere musician who was called to give support to the incoming member of Mwembeshi. What happened? How many people have condemned that? Has there been an arrest in Mwembeshi? The answer is no. Not only that, I'll give you many other occasions where there has been violence, not just on a lower level, but a larger one. But the question is, it was in public domain that PF was violent, but the question is that is PF on the ballot? The answer is no. So who is causing that violence? And that in itself is affecting the electoral process of this country. And what we are saying, I think it's happening for the first time, where rallies are being disrupted. I'm talking about the incident which happened in Mongu today, where police officers disrupted the opposition rally.
When you look at these images, you could see that as the police move in to the stage, the electorate is also agitated, and they equally throw sand at the police. They are agitated, and you could see the confusion there. But my question really is coming from the fact that what is your legal advice to the electorate in situations where they are faced with the police who are instructing them or giving orders, and the police are trying to enforce the law, but you could see that the electorate is equally agitated and irritated by the police presence, and just from what you see, those images that you see, you could see that someone even threw sand in the eyes of the police just there. At what point, on what advice, what is your legal opinion on how people ought to conduct themselves, especially when during this period, as we draw closer to voting day? How do we begin to collaborate but also dialogue with the police in such circumstances?
My brother, my stance has never changed on where violence is concerned. And I've always advised, and it is my standing, that the citizens must not take the law into their own hands. But however, as compared to what had transpired this afternoon, you do realize that we're in an electoral period. You do realize that emotions are high. Now, in that situation, that is a retaliation from the citizen. And now...
Is that allowed?
No, it's not allowed. But then, let us look at the bigger picture. The police actually, the people who are mandated to protect the citizens. But then, what happens when citizens don't feel protected? We expect that. So at least the police and other law enforcement agencies should play a bigger picture, because they have a bigger role.
But leaders,
why this is concerned.
But the leaders and the leaders who are leading these political parties then have even a much bigger role to play, because they can command, they can speak, they can influence the decisions that the electorate make. Do you think that the leaders are doing much to sort of to quench the fire and to quench the political tension between the police and the electorate?
Yes, leaders are doing much. I'll speak from Nrpup's position. Okay, there's been a concern, and the Honorable Mongu has advised the members of the political party, of his political party, that you should not retaliate, you should not engage in violence. I think that is enough. That is why you have seen that there has been no violence from the other party. Yet they have complained on many occasions of being attacked in Kitwe, being attacked in Sorowezi, being attacked in northwestern province not long ago, being attacked today. But the question is, what is the other side doing? Is there a stronger voice where that is concerned? And is there any action being taken? So that is why I'm saying that the police must man up to ensure that we avoid such occurrences, because at the end of the day, we're going to see more violence. So these are the people that are supposed to protect the citizens. But if the citizens don't feel protected, then they're going to retaliate. Of course, it is a bad thing. I'm not saying it's a good thing, but the police must do their job. And I personally feel they're not doing their job. You saw what happened in yesterday, where UPND cadres were stunning Nrpup members. That was bad. And we expected more today. And not just condemning on social media or issuing statements. We expect action by the police. Now, is the UPND doing enough to restrain violence? The answer is no. Because if they are doing much to stop the violence or to encourage members from being violent, we could not have these high levels of violence that we are seeing today, where independent candidates are being attacked in broad daylight when the police are just watching. I think that leaves so much to be desired.
We'll be picking your calls on the number on your screen. Please call us and tell us where you're calling us from, but also contribute to our conversation this evening on issues that relate pertaining to the election. 8 days to go, but also what's happened the last couple of days, political violence, tensions in the country as Zambians prepared to go to vote. Is police prepared to address issues around political violence?
They are not.
Do you think that they are ready?
No, they are not. You see, why do I say so? There have been many occasions. Actually, I've experienced political violence firsthand. It first happened in Matero when we had gone for a church service in Irlanda. We saw cadres throwing stones, attacking the other camp in full view of the police. And that's what is worrying me, and that's what is worrying every Zambian. Because these acts of violence have been occasioned in full view of the police. But what are they doing where that is concerned? I think they're not doing enough. If anything, they're adding more kerosene in the fire. And that is not helping. So that's why I'm saying that we need more. We need the arrest. People who are engaging in violence, regardless of which political regard they put on, must be condemned. They must be arrested and let the law take its course. Because we can only prevent violence by taking action. Remember, also taking action is a deterrent measure to those who would be offenders. Now, if cadres are being condoned and nothing is being done, then we have a problem. So, in my view, and this is a truth that every Zambian knows, that the police are not doing enough where violence is concerned.
Let's try to pick a call. Let's see if we can go to first caller. You can try to call us on the number on your screen. What is the situation like in your area, and what are you doing yourself to ensure that you stay away from violence? Good evening, and you're through to Diamond Live.
Good evening, Cheswa. How are you?
Very well. Please go ahead with your question, comment, or comment.
Yeah, thank you very much for that. I just want to say that I think violence, we cannot condone it.
Not at all.
And I want to also speak to the council is two-sided. As a council, you need to be just to talk to all both sides. I think as a young man in 1991, we campaigned for the hour has come, which is MMD. We have also seen it from that time, from 1996, 2011, and 2021. I think what is very important is that we need to preach peace. It's very, very critical in our suspension of deciding whom we need to come. That plays a very, very, very big role. When we do that, then all of us, we are going to do what we can, because politics, it just come. I've seen it from my young age up to now. I think what is important, council, is that let's talk to both sides.
Indeed.
There was a picture which was shown in Western Province, which we are talking about, a person changing the T-shirt to another. We saw that social media is able to show us. I think if people, they want to project violence so that people will see that it's violence, it's not going to take us anywhere. I think all of us, we should be at peace, and let's vote for the person we want. It's very, very, very critical than just people coming in media and show that Zambia is violent. And you know what? There are a lot of people who are checking it. How are they going to look at us? People outside the country. Are we going to, do you want to protect ourselves, to show that we are a violent nation or not? I think let's be very careful. And when I look at these videos where people, they don't want to respect the police, I think it's just unfortunate. And it's unfortunate that the council, you are also saying people, they want to defend themselves. And I don't think that statement should come from the council.
No,
I think people, we need to respect the police. It's very, very critical. And we should not be proud that Zambia should be shown in the world that it's a violent nation when it comes to elections. It has been peaceful for the past days or months, and we're just remaining with few. Let it be so, and let the right person to win that.
All right. Thank you for that comment. You would like to respond, but we're encouraging you to equally call in. I'll try to see if we can pick a few more other calls on this edition of Diamond Live.
Of course, my brother encouraged me to be both-sided, and he thinks I'm picking sides, but that is not the case. We're talking about the victims. Okay, you don't talk about a person who seems to be in a stronger position. So I just drew a number of violent activities which have happened in the recent past. Not so long ago, I've brought up the aspect of the violence which occurred in Kitwe, which occurred in Solwezi. There has been no event involving the other camp, or even another political party against the UPND, unless if you know one. I've given an example of Mazabuka. I've given you an example of Mwembeshi, which happened yesterday. So it's always the other camp which is attacking these other individuals, be it an independent candidate or members of the Nrpup. But all you know, I'm condemning violence in its totality because I do not subscribe to that as a leader. And he also says I'm encouraging citizens that they should fight. I did not say that. I think you do agree with me. But what I said is that the police are supposed to protect the citizens. And citizens must not be left in a position of vulnerability where they feel they have to defend themselves against the police. So this is not a one-sided issue, but it involves both stakeholders, the electorate as well as the law enforcement agencies. So the police have a role to play. They must not be seen to be one-sided. When a complaint has been made to them, they must respond promptly. I think there's a video which was showing, which depicted Council Changano, where he approached the senior police officer in Mongu, and he told him off that we were calling you yesterday, informing you that our camp was attacked, but there was no response from your side. We saw that. And that's what we were saying. Had police responded to that distress call, we wouldn't have that occurrence.
Yeah. Let's see if we can pick. Do we still have that call? Tell me if we still have that caller who's calling us this evening. Good evening, and you're through to Diamond Live.
Yes, how are you?
Very well. Please go ahead with your comment, question, or contribution.
Yeah, thank you so much. I want to give a question in my area. You know, we are violent in the UPND. I came here, they ambush people. And for the first time in my whole life, seeing a cadre, having tear gas is supposed to be the position of the police. Tear gassing people, destroying property, stealing property. And this violence, nobody has been arrested so far. It happened in Shawama, Laiwa in particular. Understand? Okay, nobody was arrested. You can came here, ambushed everybody. And all we get from the president is a statement on social media condemning. We've been condemning the last 4 years. What has happened? Those criminals who are causing violence are well known. And you can't look at a committing violence in full view of the police. That the police are not doing anything. That's the question is, are we safe as Zambian citizens? Okay? Because the state proposed we expect free and fair elections. Elections doesn't just happen in the whole day. Election is the process from the day that the campaign starts to the end, and then even the polling day. So are you telling that all this what is happening in our country, the president, all you can do is just say, I condemn in the president's name? What can't you direct the police to do at the needful? To tell don't feel safe, you understand? To tell your citizens that being attacked, Telecom was attacked, and to tell you was arrested. Victims are being arrested, asylums are being left free. What kind of a country is this? Okay? So for me, the UPND have no capacity to end political violence because UPND is violent by nature, and have been committing violence and are not arrested, you understand? Okay? We heard the president every time he goes somewhere. He says, no, when it comes to Lusaka, they are teaching you to tell everywhere in the corner of Zambia, people are being beaten, people are being attacked. I give an example, a radio repair here in Lusaka was killed by UPND cadre. Nobody was arrested, you understand? And you're telling me that this is the peace that the UPND has brought? No.
Thank you very much. We appreciate the call. I want to give maybe one or two more last callers to equally contribute. You'd like to respond to?
You just spoke my mind, and that is a concern of every Zambian out there, that the police should not take sides. So we need action from the police. Let there be action. Let us not go back to the Mapatiza days where there was so much violence. Yes, we do understand the 2005 event leading to that type of violence. So we should not go back. And just like George Santayana of Real Madrid said, that those who do not read history are condemned to repeat his mistakes. The PF was punished for violence. I've seen colleagues on social media who are responding to me, and they are saying, I did not speak when violence was happening on the UPND. And yesterday he posted a clip where I appeared here on Jamon TV condemning the political violence that we are seeing in the PF, as well as police brutality. I think I'm prominent for that. And I still said, I'm maintaining my position that I do not subscribe to violence. So the core is the same. We need to protect this country, because we must not put citizens in the corner where they feel they're not protected, and the only option they have is to defend themselves, because that is going to be chaotic. And my fear is we're going to bend this country down. So we have lives to protect, and we, the leaders, must take charge to ensure that the law is not just designed to punish members of different political parties, whilst our own are treated as angels. I think that is a problem, and that's why the problem starts. So we're not supporting anybody. Any person who engages in violence, let them face the wrath of the law, not as the situation appears at the moment.
What do you think are some of the main factors that will influence voter choice in this election?
The main factors, of course, there are various. And obviously, you know, many of those issues containing to the high cost of living. Many people have been talking about those things. Not only that, violence itself. Zambians are peaceful. Zambians don't like violence. So this in itself is one of those factors which is going to affect, which is going to influence the Zambians to make the decisions where voting for their right candidate is concerned. Not only in that, the rule of law. We have talked about unfair application of the law. There have been a few individuals, who have equally come openly condemned that, look, some of these individuals have been appearing in various courts. Some of these individuals have been on bench warrant. But what response do we get? That no, their cases have been sorted outside court. And that becomes a problem, because we're dealing with criminal offenses. And of course, as a lawyer, I know how a criminal matter is handled. But obviously, for some individuals, their cases appear to be resolved differently from others. And we are in a situation where a client who is in a similar situation, and they're asking you how this individual has managed to have their case resolved outside court, whilst theirs is taking a different turn. So those are the issues. So even where the rule of law is concerned, I think those are some of the issues.
What do you have to say about concerns from Nrpup about the Electoral Commission of Zambia, post staff lists being moved and so on? What do you make of this?
I think a voice has been raised over that already, and I do not intend to reiterate what has already been spoken. I think the SG has guided. Not long ago, I received a call from a colleague in Mongu who was also talking about the same. There is also another call from Kasama. So I think as stakeholders, I think we expect the ECZ to do what is best for this country. We don't care about the outcome of this election, but what we want is that this election should be free and fair, because Zambians have a right to choose the right person who they feel is going to meet their needs, and who is going to attend to their various challenges. So I think the ECZ must not do anything which seems to be going against the will of the people.
One of the other things that I would like to ask you, perhaps as we near a conclusion, is the campaign messaging. I think this is one of the things that leaders have been speaking about, that they do not have not had the right to freely campaign. Yet we see people still going to campaign, despite a few hiccups from the opposition, like today. But what do you have to say about some of the messages that the electorate are receiving? How do you weigh some of these messages? Are people satisfied with what they are hearing from the incumbent President Hichilema? I would like to call them the opposition in totality. Do you believe the people are satisfied with some of the messages that?
Of course, there are various messages which are being communicated to the electorate. But however, there are some messages which are which would bring division in the country. For instance, I think I've been against the statement of the president saying certain people from different tribes were being attacked, were being beaten in certain places. I think that statement in itself would bring division at the end of the day. So I think that is not the message that we should indeed communicate to the electorates. But by and large, of course, the electorate themselves are appreciating various messages which are being extended to them by by different leaders of political parties. And not only that, you spoke of, you said despite a few challenges, a few hiccups, that was your wording. But there must not be any hiccups at all. Because at the end of the day, like the people of Mongu, they have been deprived of the opportunity to listen to their leader. And that in itself becomes a challenge where clear messaging is very concerned. But so far, so good. I think speaking of the Nrpup, I think there has been a clear message in terms of what they would want to do for the country, in terms of restoration of rule of law, in terms of continuity of the meal allowances, as well as
other factors.
Yeah, of course. But for them, by and large, they've been saying they take it like government is a continuous process, and that is a clear view, because they do not intend to dispense what the current president has done for the people of Zambia. But of course, they're saying they'll continue with all the good works that he has done, and I think that is the right message. So we should move on that trajectory. So there shouldn't be any message which appears divisive, because that becomes a problem, and at the end of it, they are going to bend this country.
Are the police? Would you say that the police have been respected in their carrying out of their mandate in protecting the citizens, the electorate?
No, they haven't been respected. How do you define respect? You don't give orders to the police, but if they cannot act at their instance, then that becomes a problem. So I think they must not get instruction from the politicians, because that in itself is disrespecting of the police, the institution at large. So that has not been there, because had it been there, I think we would have seen them operate differently, because they exist independently, and they, of course, they do know their sole mandate, which is nothing but to protect the citizens of this country, regardless of which political party they belong to. But if we are not seeing that becomes a problem. Of course, there have been many concerns where people have been detained without being given police bond, yet their offences are bondable. There have been many cases where individuals are not being taken to court, and that in itself sends a negative signal, and it puts them in a very awkward position where that respect is gone. So in my view, I feel they're not respected.
Well, 8 days to go before Zambia votes. What message sits in your heart as a young person that would like people to freely participate in a democratic process such as this election?
Indeed, as we go to the polls, like I said before, that I do not expect any person to burn this country, because this is not the first election that we're having. We have had many other elections. Of course, we want a free and fair election, because at the end of the day, we have a country to protect, regardless of who wins this election. And that's what we are saying, that let that person will be the ultimate winner, be as a result of a free and fair election. So my word goes to every Zambian that we should desist from violence, because political violence does not take us anywhere. Political violence puts this country in a very awkward position in the eyes of the international community. Yeah. So we have to know that we rely on other countries that we have to deal with in order to improve the status quo of our country where the economy is concerned. So we must not be seen to be a country which does not support democracy. So Zambia is a democratic state, and it has existed like that since 1991 when plural politics was introduced. So we expect the existence of different political parties where different political players communicate with the electorate without any challenge. So that which happened in Mongu must not happen again, because that really is very unfortunate, and that is a stain on the democracy which this country has enjoyed over the years.
Timothy Sapato, thank you so much for making time to speak to us.
I really appreciate my brother, and thank you so much. May God bless Zambia, and God bless everybody.
Well, our guest has been Timothy Sapato, who's a counsel, legal counsel, has been giving us a legal opinion as well as a politician on this edition of Diamond Live. Thank you for watching. Good night.
Zambia, are you ready for the biggest election coverage like never before?
The media plays a very important role in a democracy. And in an election year such as this, citizens indeed depend on media for information, dissemination of critical manifesto analysis that enables them to make a wise and important choice before the vote.
We would like to be more of an entity that is informing and educating the general public around the electoral process. And we're doing this because we continue to bridge the electoral gap that we have gotten to witness, the information gap that is equally there.
The public as a whole obviously has threats in relation to fake news, mis- and disinformation. And this is why, for the 2026 general election, as the Diamond Media Group, we are having the biggest election coverage like never seen before in the history of